Hello, everyone. My name is Danny, Senior Vice President of Strategy and Operations at Neo Battery Materials. We were here last month, but we thank again the Synflix team for setting up this amazing event. Could we get the PowerPoint on? Yes, to formally introduce you to Neo Battery Materials, could you go to the slide right before? Yes, so we are a public company listed on a Toronto Stock Venture Exchange under symbol NBM, and Neo Battery Materials, we are currently developing silicon anode materials for EV batteries, which enable performance enhancements as well as cost-cutting characteristics for the EV battery itself. So the Synflix team has asked me to sort of outline the cross-border investment opportunities in Canada. So I first came up with the question, why invest in Canada today? Well, there's many different sectors that are growing in Canada, such as fintech, as well as AI, as well as the EV industry. So I took my liberty to cut down the question to be much more meticulous, to focus on the area of my expertise, which is the EV battery industry. And this is why I started off with answering the question, why invest in Canada's EV battery supply chain now? Well, everybody knows that the EV battery hype or the EV boom has already started. By 2035, McKinsey, the top consulting firm, expects that the largest automotive market, China, US, and the EU, will be fully electrified. And currently, most recently, Bloomberg NEF, one of the most reputable market research firms for energy storage as well as batteries, has ranked countries based on their potential in the global battery supply chain. Now, they had several criteria like raw materials, battery manufacturing, innovation, as well as downstream demand, but I took raw materials and battery manufacturing as the two most important factors that Bloomberg NEF used to rank the countries. And we already know today that China is the #1 battery manufacturing country, with CATL, BYD, EVE, as well as other companies like S-Volt being top global battery manufacturers. Now, China will stay in this #1 spot for probably the rest of our lives, but the real interest comes to what are the second, third, and fourth countries that are on this list? Is it South Korea and Japan because they are the second and third largest battery manufacturing countries? However, surprisingly, the second country with the largest potential in the global EV battery market is actually Canada. And this is because of the abundance of minerals in this country, as well as the increasing battery manufacturing technologies that will be present here in the next few years. And this is my main thesis why you should invest in Canada's EV battery supply chain, because China and US, as well as the other Nordic countries, they are currently developing their EV infrastructure. But here in Canada, the EV battery supply chain is very still new, and this is the time to invest now. And I would like to give you some supporting points in what the government is supporting and what we can realize in terms of the economic benefits in the EV industry. To date, reading Budget 2023 as well as other government incentives, the federal government has committed up to about 5.3 billion Canadian dollars to commit into the EV industry, as well as mineral development, as well as infrastructure development. And we expect that in terms of economic benefits, 59 billion Canadian dollars will be added to gross domestic product annually, with over 300 jobs being supported within the EV industry. And if you see here, Ontario and Quebec will be the two largest provinces that will be the epicenter of the EV battery supply chain in Canada. And as you see here on the graph, this is a map of the 400-kilometer radius of Ontario. And you can see not only in Ontario, but just in the near proximity, at least 10 battery manufacturers are planning their plants to be above 3 gigawatt hours. And from here, it's only going to expand so far. And Neo Battery Materials, we are planning our commercial plant also near the Greater Toronto area to supply these battery manufacturers. But what's the catch here? As I said, Canada, we are abundant in the mineral resources as well as increasing battery manufacturing capabilities. And we already know that Ontario has one of the strongest automotive manufacturing supply chains. But right now, if you see the very high level EV battery supply chain, we go from mining to battery materials, battery cell manufacturing to automotive manufacturing. But here is the key problem. Canada has a very weak link in terms of battery materials manufacturing. So right now, Canada is mining these valuable assets, but these minerals cannot be directly put into battery cells itself. We need to go through additional processing. So right now, what Canada has to do is implement battery materials technology and manufacturing, and this is where Neo Battery Material comes in with our proprietary silicon anode materials, where we are on the mission to achieve the 1,000-mile EV battery using what is known as silicon anode materials. Now, I don't know if any of you drive an electric vehicle or are considering to buy one, but these are the two most prominent problems that you have faced. One is being a short driving range, which causes range anxiety for not only users that are trying to buy EVs, but also users that have already purchased EVs. And the second problem here is a slow charging time. On average, the Tesla Model 3 takes up to 36 hours to charge fully at your home. So right now, when we talk about these problems, we really need to take a look inside of the EV battery and identify the root cause. Now today, in the lithium-ion battery, 4 core battery materials exist. One is the cathode, another is the anode, separator, as well as the electrolyte. Now the highly discussed battery metals like lithium, nickel, cobalt, manganese, these are all associated with the cathode material. But today, for the anode side, graphite is the only available option, and this is the main source of the problems. But fortunately, the industry has found a key solution, a key material that can resolve all of graphite's deficiencies. Silicon is this new material. Through silicon, we can enable ultra-fast charging, also commit to 10 times more capacity compared to graphite, and also reduce EV battery costs in the overall landscape. So today, silicon is the only available material to increase the EV battery capacity or driving range. And as a result, the silicon anode market faces the highest growth out of all value chain components. Now, in terms of the market growth from 2022 to 2032, the global silicon anode market will grow at a compound annual growth rate of 54% to reach $30 billion USD by 2032. Well, I've highlighted the benefits of using silicon as well as the market growth. Then the natural question comes to, if silicon is this good, then why doesn't manufacturers use silicon instead of graphite? Well, silicon has a key technical problem of volume expansion or swelling. If we do not treat the silicon expands by 300% or 4 times its original size. And you can imagine a balloon growing and it eventually pops. Now, it is tremendously difficult to resolve this volume expansion problem. So currently in the industry, competitors are using one of the most expensive manufacturing processes as well as high-cost inputs to resolve this volume expansion problem. But as a result, silicon anodes are still 8 times as expensive compared to current graphite anode materials. So silicon anodes are only put into the high-end EV models except for all the lower end. So this is where Neo Battery Material comes in with our cost-effective silicon anodes. As discussed before, over the past 2.5 years, we have developed a novel approach to manufacture silicon anodes that are greater than 70% price reduced compared to what our competitors can do in the field today. And not only this, we can increase the EV driving range by more than 20% and also enable ultra-fast charging all at the same time using our silicon anode products called NBM side. Now, how do we do this? We're not just a startup company, but we have a leadership team with a proven track record in the battery industry. Our team comes from the largest South Korean battery manufacturers like LG and Samsung, and scientific advisors from Ivy League institutions are also helping us commercialize this technology. To give you a brief, high-level overview of our manufacturing process, the reason why we are able to achieve a 70% cost reduction in our manufacturing process is that we process our materials at room temperature as well as room pressure. And the reason why our competitors have such high costs is that they actually produce at high temperatures of 1,500 to 2,000 degrees Celsius at multiple steps. But what we do is in one pot, we put in our raw materials, nanocoating materials, as well as our additives. We mix, mill, nanocoat in one step, as I said, at room temperature and room pressure. And through this, we are able to achieve a substantial cost reduction. Now, this is a patent-protected technology with 8 patents issued and pending across various jurisdictions as well. Now, to give you some hard numbers in terms of the costs, now, the main popular options for silicon anodes today in the market are called silicon carbon and silicon oxide, but the prices go from 60 to over 100 USD per kilogram. But by using our one-step nanocoating process, we can provide silicon anodes that are just 15 to a maximum of 30 USD per kilogram. And this is the key value proposition that has been the highest point of attraction, in which we are currently working with over 60 battery manufacturers as well as EV automakers. And to date, we are conducting 20 plus active material evaluation to ink advanced agreements like joint development and collaboration agreements that will accelerate our path to commercialization. Now, this is a brief overview of our competitive landscape. Now, only 3 companies in the world have been able to commercialize their silicon anode technologies. And because silicon anodes are still recognized as an early venture technology, there exists a massive room for growth for silicon anodes in the market so far. And for example, Group 14 Technologies here is a private company based out of Washington State, and they are one of the larger silicon anode competitors. Last year, they have been able to partner up with SK, the 5th largest global battery manufacturer, as well as Porsche. And through this partnership, they have been able to raise over 600 million USD in their Series C funding at a valuation of over 3 billion USD based on no revenue but pure potential of the products itself. And to take you a little back, they were just valued at 70 to 100 million USD just 13 months before this valuation re-rate. And the same story goes for the other competitors in the field, in which they have experienced this accelerated valuation growth because of these strategic partnerships as well as product validation. And this is the same strategic framework that Neo Battery Materials is also pursuing for our valuation re-rate as well. We are working all our resources to ink those advanced agreements with the big brand names so that we can have a similar reflection like our competitors in the field. In terms of our business model, we are pursuing in-house manufacturing in South Korea as well as Canada, here near the Greater Toronto area, but we are also looking to license our manufacturing process to downstream customers as well. And this is our global expansion strategy. In South Korea, you can see this is a rendering of our commercial plant that will be capable of producing 240 tons of materials per year, but we are looking to expand that up to 5,000 tons. And also similarly, in Ontario, we will construct a similar plant as well. Now, to give you some high-level economics on the commercial plant, With 240 tons of materials being produced, this will supply to 80 to 160,000 electric vehicles. And now in Canada in 2021, about 86,000 zero-emission vehicles were sold. So theoretically speaking, with 240 tons, we will be able to cover the entire Canadian market. But we're not just stopping at 240 tons, but we're looking to scale that up to 5,000 tons to supply to at least 2 million electric vehicles in the next 5 years. And we conservatively estimate to have at least 3 commercial plants that will produce an aggregate of 15,000 tons of silicon anode materials per year, and that will allow us to become one of the top 10 global suppliers of silicon anode materials. And this is a brief hard mock-up of our financial projections. Once we do start out with 240 tons, that will generate us about 12 million USD in revenues, but we look to increase that up to 250 million USD when we do produce 5,000 tons. And this is our brief share performance and share structure. And I would like to give you some recent developments that we are currently undertaking in terms of our business. And this week on Tuesday, we have announced our non-brokered private placement that is under a listed issuer financing exemption. And what this means is that the regular private placement puts you on a 4-month hold, but through this life private placement, the common shares that you purchase when you participate in this financing will be immediately freely trading. So that is the key benefit of this life exemption. And just in terms of the terms of the financing, this will be a 32-cent common share unit with also a 75% warrant as well, with an acceleration of $1 for 15 consecutive days. Then the company will be able to call back the warrants as well. So if you do have interest in participating in our financing that is currently live, and we are currently filling the books as well with high demand. So please talk to us in the booth on the next room after this presentation is over, and we look forward to speaking with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danny, for the introduction. Thank you.